It's time to step behind the scenes and take a closer look at the Owen Sound Attack. This is Bear Tracker Weekly. Here's your host, JC Coots.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Episode 7, Season 2 of the Bear Tracker Weekly Podcast. Busy week for the Owen Sound Attack as they snap a 4-game losing streak. Home sweet home, indeed. The Attack pick up 3 wins on home ice, starting with the school day game against the Sarnia Sting on Wednesday. That was a lot of fun. 2,600 screaming kids inside the Bayshore helped cheer the Attack on to victory. They would pick up another win. Close-fought game against the Sudbury Wolves on Saturday night. Attack skate away, 4-3 winners. And then on Sunday afternoon, the Bayshore looked pretty full as the Attack took it to the Erie Otters by a score of 8-3, the biggest offensive output in a single game for the Owen Sound Attack so far this season. And a couple players with 5-point games, Pierce Bowie and Harry Nancy, were fantastic. Cole Zarowski with a hat trick, 2 goals in from Tristan Delisle. The team was firing on all cylinders, and there was a lot to talk about too. The big storyline was about that trade the Attack had made on Friday, sending Michael Dec to Erie in return for Wesley Royston, and we got to see both those players with their new teams on Sunday afternoon. Both certainly had their moments, but neither really a factor in the game that started out slow for the Attack, but then was dominated by the Attack in the second half. On this episode, we're going to chat with Wesley Royston, meet one of the newest members of the Owen Sound Attack. We'll also chat with Tristan Delisle on the absolute amazing season he is having. He now has extended his point-scoring streak to 18 games. He has at least a point in every single Attack game this season. And he's also in the top 3, as of the recording of this podcast, for OHL scoring. So we'll catch up with Tristan Delisle. We'll also hear from assistant coach Reagan O'Grady, plus the Media Room Roundtable gets together. We'll talk about that Michael Dec trade, and we'll also talk about some of the other big trades this week with Adrian Musso. Another edition of Moose on the Loose is coming up. It's all part of Episode 7 of the Bear Tracker Weekly Podcast. Here we go. It starts now. Well, Tristan Delisle has picked up right where he left off last season and now finds himself in the company of the OHL's elite scorers. He has a heck of a point streak going, 18 straight games with at least a point. He's got a lot of work to do. I think the record is 48 straight games with a point, and that belongs to Andrew Burnett, whose picture hangs in the rafters at the Bayshore. Here's my conversation with Tristan Delisle after the Attack's win over Erie on Sunday afternoon. Huge win this afternoon. Completes 3 wins on home ice in a row for the team this week. What were your thoughts on the game today?
Great game. Started off slow in the first period, kind of like gave them hope, and then by the second period we bared down, and by the third we were dominating. So it was a slow start. We got to cut that out, but it was a good game.
Your point-scoring streak continues today. 18 games now, a point in every single game this season. 2 goals today, 3 goals on Wednesday. Just having a lot of time a lot of luck finding the back of the net. What's it been like for you this season to be so successful now? I believe you're at 27 points and 3rd in league scoring right now.
I mean, it's been incredible. Like, I couldn't have predicted this in any world, but at the end of the day, you do the little things and the rest will come along with it. Like, focus on the face-offs. Like tonight, I think I had a good night. I think it was 20 for 24. So with the little things comes the big things. And at the end of the day, whether I score or not, as long as the team gets the win, I'm pretty thrilled.
You and Pierce Bowie have been together for a little while now on the top line. Harry Nancy factored into that line earlier this week and has had a lot of success with the 3 of you together. I think Harry had 5 points tonight. Bowie had 5 points tonight. What's it like to play on that line who, whether it's 5-on-5 or 5-on-4, you guys are just dynamite?
I mean, it's been incredible. Like, Harry is an incredible player. Like, his vision is out of this world. He keeps racking up the assists because he keeps doing incredible passes, so he's incredible. And then Pierce Bowie, I have not words can't describe how good he is. He's one of the most talented players I've ever got the privilege to play with, and I've played with some pretty good players, so it's been incredible. And for me, I just try to do what I can to kind of help those guys out, and they help me out, so we have each other's back, and there's a lot of chemistry there.
We know this is a close group, this team, and I think we kind of saw a little bit of that at the end of the game today when everybody came over to hug Michael Dec and tap his gloves. And obviously, I'm sure the trade was a bit of a shock this week. You get a lot of size in Wesley Royston coming in, but just what was it like to play with Michael Dec? And what's the team spirit now that he's a member of the opposition here tonight?
I mean, it was a strange feeling. I feel like the trade, it was a good thing for us. Michael Dec is a hell of a player, great playmaker, but Wesley Royston brings size. He brings toughness that we didn't have before, and he's going to be an extremely big factor in our games, especially when teams decide to bear down on our top line, and he's going to bring that sense of, how can I say this, toughness that our team didn't have before.
One guy that's missing from the lineup, and for a good reason right now, is your brother, Max, is with the U17s, just named an assistant captain with the U17s. Is that a pretty proud big brother moment for you to see how well he's doing?
Oh, yeah, I couldn't be more proud of him. Like, he really earned it. Like, he's night in, night out, he works his butt off, so I no words can describe how proud I am of him. And I got word from my dad that he had a goal and an assist today, so now I'm going to text him to congratulate him, and no, he's making me real proud right now.
I was going to ask, are you in communication with him, or do you kind of, because he's at a big tournament right now, do you kind of lay off a little bit and just let him do his thing, and there'll be room for that when he gets back, or are you always like calling him at night and saying, all right, how'd today go?
No, I leave him on his own track. We both have different paths, and I feel like leaving him alone and at the U17s is the best option. Calling him once a week is gonna do the trick, because he needs the space. He needs his time away from me as much as I need my time away from him. And no, like he's got different problems at the U17s than I do here in Owen Sound, and it's good to kind of focus on yourself sometimes.
All right, well, very fun to watch both the Delisle brothers this season, but it's been especially fun to watch you make that big leap that you've made already this season. Best of luck to you, Tristan, and your teammates in the upcoming week.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Wesley Royston is one of the newest members of the Owen Sound Attack, acquired on Friday in a trade with the Erie Otters. Attack needed some size to help them out, and so they shipped off Michael Dec to Erie. We had a chance to chat with the newest member of the Owen Sound Attack, Wesley Royston, after the Attack's win over Erie on Sunday. All right, here now with Wesley Royston, newest member of the Owen Sound Attack. Wes, we have a tradition on the podcast. Anytime someone's on for the first time, we ask the same first two questions. Where did you grow up, and what first made you fall in love with hockey?
I grew up in Barrie, Ontario. What first made me love hockey was I used to go to an outdoor rink with my grandpa all the time, and I kind of just grew my love for the game there, so yeah.
You come over this week in a trade with the Owen Sound Attack, and right away you get to face your former teammates in the Erie Otters. What was your thoughts on having to face these guys so quickly, and then on getting the win here against them this afternoon?
Yeah, it was weird for sure, but I love this group, and the guys have been all very welcoming to me, so yeah, it's good.
A big win today for the Owen Sound Attack, who finish off now this week with 3 wins in 3 games here at home. I'm guessing, though, growing up not too far away, is this your first time in the Bay Shore, or have you played here before in like minor hockey or something?
In the OHL, I played here with Erie, but yeah, not my first time in the Bay Shore. I've been here probably 3 or 4 times now.
What's your impressions of this team? I mean, you've watched them from afar so far this season. I'm sure you've heard a little bit about them. Now you're actually a member of them. You get to see the system up close. You get to play on a wing with some of these guys. What's been your impression so far, and has it changed a little bit? Maybe an opinion you had of this team before you became a member of them?
Yeah, I knew they were a winning team, and I think that's what we're going to try to do, and we're going to try to push to go far this year in the playoffs, and I'm looking forward to it.
What would you say is one of your big strengths for your game? Is it the size? Is it the hitting? Is it your offensive ability? Because you're listed as a power forward, and you've been pretty successful. I think you even played with Jake Crawford at one point and scored 29 goals before you guys both came to the OHL together. What do you think is your best part of your game?
Yeah, I'm a power forward, so I like to get on the forecheck. I like to throw hits. I have a good shot, too. Just kind of an all-around player, and yeah, power forward.
Just to kind of get to know who you are as a person, I'll ask you top 3 movies in no particular order that you like. Top 3 movies.
Putting me on the spot here. I don't know. I can't answer that one.
That's a tough one. All right. What about music-wise? Top 3 bands or artists that you like?
I like Morgan Wallen, Jason Aldean, and Luke Combs.
Oh, a country guy. You know what? I'm going to give you bonus points. It's not a game, but as a guy that works at a country radio station, I'll give you bonus points for that. What are you most excited about now that you're a member of the Owen Sound Attack? Is it working with a team that has a lot of gifted players on it? Or is it working with a coaching staff that brings a really good outlook to the game? What thing are you looking forward most to?
I think overall I'm just really excited to connect with this group and the guys on this team, the coaching staff. They've all been great to me so far, so yeah.
All right, Wesley, well, we're excited to have you here, have you a member of the team, and looking forward to big things the rest of this season. All the best.
Thank you.
Now, earlier in the day on Sunday, the plan was to chat with head coach Scott Ray. We usually do a rotation of the coaches here and talk to one every 3 weeks, but in this case, Scott Ray unfortunately was not available after the game because during the game, his son, Mason Ray, suffered what looked to be a pretty ugly injury on the ice. I won't speculate as to what it was, but if you were watching the Rogers TV broadcast, Mark McKelvey and I got a decent look at Mason in a world of pain on the bench, and it did not look good. And for Scott Ray, there are moments when you have to be a head coach, no doubt about that, and there are moments when you have to be a dad. And after the game, Scott, who's done a tremendous job of separating those two things with his son on the team, it was more important for him to be a dad after the game, which is 100% understandable. I was informed of that by Reagan O'Grady, who then graciously offered to instead take Scott's place for the post-game interview. So I appreciate that, Reagan, and here's my conversation with the Attack assistant coach after the game on Sunday. The highest offensive output in a single game for the Owen Sound Attack today, 8 goals. Looked a little, maybe, I hesitate to use the term sloppy in the early going, but then really found your game. What was the feeling from the coaching staff on tonight's big win over Erie?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think it was one of those things, it's junior hockey. Could we sit here and say that we standings watch every day we walk past that board in our dressing room and we see that we're at the top and Erie's at the bottom. And, for us, I think we took it a little bit lightly. Maybe guys weren't ready to start on time. And that's just a direct reflection on maybe us as a staff. We got to tighten it up a little bit, or just the leadership group to take charge in there. Any game can be a won hockey game or a lost hockey game, and we see that all the time from the NHL all the way down to minor hockey. So for us it was just getting back to what made us successful. Obviously the outpour in the third period was a reason, and our power play came up big when we needed it to kind of really put the dagger in them. And for us it's just moving forward and looking at some of the negatives that we can turn into positive, just to play a full 60 minutes. I think at times even last game, last couple games, we kind of let teams linger around, and that was a message in there today.
I'll talk about the trade that happened this week, which I think caught a few people off guard, but obviously addressed a big need. Dale had said right away that he was getting tired of seeing the Attack players get pushed around, wanted to bring in some size. That size comes from Wesley Royston. Out, though, because there is a price to pay when you make a move, goes Michael Dec. What's your thoughts on that move? Did the coaching staff have any input at all? Was there any communication about, hey, I'm thinking about this move. Do you guys like it? Does it help you? Does it hurt the team? Did you guys get any input on it? And what do you think of Royston in the lineup now?
Yeah, I think, obviously Dale's put the trust in us. We come in as a new staff together last year, and, we really want to make this home for us. As much as, it is for the players, it is for us and our families. And, we talked about it at length. We kind of went back and forth. We've kind of kicked tires. But I think it's a direct result of, our players in that locker room have put us in this position to, address a need that we'd wanted to get bigger up front. Unfortunately, it can't come from Noah Roberts and David Bedkowski and Elliot Arnett, night after night after night. And it's just that presence that we need up front. To get a good player, you got to give up a good player. Unfortunately, it was Michael Dec in this scenario. Decker came in last year, has been nothing but unbelievable. And it's tough to see him go for sure. But, Wesley brings a unique style of play. Obviously, he can play, a little bit a skilled game in terms of, being a bigger guy. I saw it. I scouted the 07 age group in his draft year. And then, obviously we add that team toughness up front. It was one of those things you look, he has 2 fights to his name already this year. And, we just said, hey, listen, if you're going to do it and you're going to protect a buddy and stand up for a teammate, by all means, if you get 3, if you get 4, if you get 5, it doesn't matter. We're here, we're in the fight together, and he's a guy that brings us into the fight. So, I think today, obviously it's a game that, a lot of travel for him coming from Erie, being in that spot, probably, on the back end of adrenaline kind of wearing off a little bit, but we're super happy. We're super excited for him to get some practice time this week. Obviously 3 big games coming up, but he's going to be a April hockey player for us, and that's why we made the move.
At the start of the week, I kind of wondered if Harry Nancy on the top line was maybe just a temporary thing until maybe a trade happened, or maybe you identified someone else that might fit well into that group. Obviously, you wanted to put some size alongside Pierce Bowie. 3 assists on Wednesday's game, 5 points today for Harry Nancy. Doesn't look like he's coming off that top line anytime soon.
No, I don't think so. Obviously, it's a testament to him. It's all about when we give guys opportunities, they take it and run with it, right? And, I think that's what makes our team unique and successful is, that next man up mentality to have guys that, can step in and play any which way that they need us to. And for Harry, it's, being that kind of Landon Hookie presence that he had last year. And that's what we kind of said to him. Hey, create some room for Pierce, create some room for Delisle. And, that line, as power play or not, even 5-on-5 at times, they took the game over. They were men amongst boys out there, and I'm really happy, and we are really happy to see the success for Harry. And obviously it's one game, but back to the drawing board to get ready for Sarnia on Wednesday.
Speaking of drawing board, I think you're going to have to head to the drawing board to figure out what the other lines are going to look like, especially after tonight. It looked like a potential devastating injury for Mason Ray. I'm sure you guys don't know anything at this point, but what does it mean to the coaching staff, and how do you prepare for what is a big hole for a heart and soul guy like Mason Ray that brings a lot to the game?
Yeah, like I said, it's that next man up mentality. Obviously not a good result. We're still awaiting results right now. And I feel obviously for Scott more importantly, but for the team as well. And I think that's something that these other guys. You insert Ethan Kindree, an Easton Meekus, and Landon Jackman. Noah Nelson takes on a bigger role. We brought Noah in for this reason of. You're going to mentor some guys, down in the depth of our team, but this is a great opportunity for him. And I know he just came in and joked with me, maybe an opportunity on the power play. But again, we do everything that kid asks and more. And, obviously it's one of those things that, we're going to look at it, obviously. Can we run 11-7 a little bit more? Obviously, like you saw today. Yeah, I think it's, food for thought, something to talk about for sure, but it keeps us on our toes, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. Maybe there's a guy, one of our drafted players that has had a really good start, and maybe we can go down that avenue too. So over the next probably 24 hours we'll have a more clear understanding and what's going on, how we can approach it, and whoever gets that opportunity, they'll be ready.
One of the guys that you mentioned there, Ethan Kindree, he took the pregame skate tonight, didn't ultimately draw into the lineup, but you've had 2 games now to take a look at him. Very short window of time that he spent with Georgetown, but obviously there were a few things that I'm sure that the coaching staff was hoping he would work on while he was down there. Have you kind of seen that development? Are you seeing positive steps in Ethan Kindree?
Yeah, absolutely. He just brings a wealth of, energy to the group. He's a heart and soul guy. Loves, even just the big smile coming back in here this week was obviously critical, right? He learned a lot down there. He came back with the mindset that, no offense to Georgetown, but I don't want to go back. I want to be here. I want to be with this team. And, over practice, you can really see some things, develop. I think the biggest thing is confidence. He went down there, played in all situations. He took it as a learning curve for him, but, to really bear down and get the opportunity to get back. And, now the opportunity presents itself. It's at his fingertips here. And, hopefully for him, he can just continue to rise to the occasion, to, accept challenges that we give him and hope that, he can continue to stick here for a long time.
Well, it was home sweet home this week. 3 games, 3 wins. Back into the driver's seat again with a little winning streak going. Best of luck to you and the boys this week when you head down to Sarnia on Wednesday.
Awesome. Thanks, JC.
Well, the Media Room Roundtable got together Sunday afternoon at the Bay Shore, and one of the things we had to talk about was that trade between the Erie Otters and the Owen Sound Attack. We also talked a little bit about the goaltending situation. Attack decided to go with Carter George on Sunday. Here's the Media Room Roundtable on Sunday afternoon before the Attack defeated the Erie Otters. All right, gentlemen, welcome to the Media Room Roundtable inside the Bay Shore on what's a pretty nice, beautiful Sunday afternoon as we get set for the Attack and the Erie Otters. And we're not going to talk about baseball because we're all depressed about that, except for Spencer, but he's a freak, so we'll forget about that. Yankees fan. Let's start with the big story today because we're going to get to see the 2 guys that were traded for each other earlier this week face off. Wesley Royston, now a member of the Owen Sound Attack. Michael Dec, now a member of the Erie Otters. Greg, I'm going to start with you because you had the instant reaction from Dale DeGray and his comments right after the trade happened, practically. What sense did you get from Dale, and what's your take on the trade?
I think anyone that read that story gets the sense that I got from Dale. It's pretty much the exact. I actually said to him during that interview when we were talking, I was like, man, I wish I was a podcast host right now because this would be way better in the audio medium. Although it'd have to be rated 18 up because there's some foul language there. But I put as much in the story as I could, and the sense I got was he was tired of seeing his forwards get run through the boards and nobody sticking up for their teammates other than the blue liners, like someone like Bedkowski. I mean, it was pretty evident. Mm-hmm. And he knows he's sacrificing a lot of skill and big puck facilitator in Michael Dec, but it didn't seem like he cared. He wanted to get somebody in here that could throw down the gloves and kind of be a bit of a bodyguard for his skilled players that remain.
I'm thinking too, guys, in terms of that topic of this Owen Sound Attack team just being a little small up front and getting pushed around. We saw what happened in Flint a week ago. Is that it's not even as much about Royston having to come in and drop the gloves right away. I just think it's the presence out there because Pierce Bowie, for example, we know he does not back down, but how long can he take these meetings? And we know he's always going to get back up and shove back and get right back into the mix, but there's a wear and tear that comes with that, and that's all it was. I think you had to address that up front and getting a little bit of size added in there and some toughness. And but I would have to think, and maybe an impromptu poll here, but who else was stunned to hear Michael Dec being traded by the Owen Sound Attack? I mean, at first, when I heard about it, I went, wow, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, very surprising, right? And I can tell you that Michael Dec himself, after talking to him, was very shocked by the move as well, not expecting that to happen. But it did. And, I talked to Dale DeGray as well. He said in his mind what you kind of already touched on. He's just looking for a different type of player in his forward group to complement the other skill guys that he has, and there's a price to pay when you want to make a trade and get a certain type of player, so that's what they did. Attack head coach Scott Ray essentially said to me that he thinks Michael Dec is a player who probably is going to get 100 points in the Ontario Hockey League at some point, and that's not an easy thing to do, but they felt that as a group that Wesley Royston is the type of guy that can help them win in March, April, and May. So they're thinking beyond right now and trying to put together a team that is tough to beat when the games get tougher to win later in the year, which is a good sign about where the thinking is about this hockey club that's off to an 11-5, 0-1 start and where their head's at as a management group and coaching staff moving forward.
Well, I'd also just like to mention that Royston had a great game yesterday. Obviously, again, very small sample size. He only played 60 minutes, but he had 2 assists. He had a great pass to Ray on the, I think it was 3rd goal of the game. So, I mean, from the very small sample size, the offense may be there. And again, when you get to play with really good players here in Owen Sound, like if he gets a chance to roll with the first line of Tristan Delisle and Pierce Bowie, or if he's on the second line with whoever ends up being the center there, and one of probably Sikora or Zarowski were on the 3rd line last night with Noah Nelson. And obviously, then you include Ray and Nancy somewhere in there as well. Like, it's going to be really interesting to see how they mix up all these lines with his physicality, but also maybe some offensive upside that we may get to see with some of the guys who'll be getting a chance to play with.
And if that's the player that Dale DeGray identified as that's the kind of guy I want to get, that big body who probably has a little bit of an offensive touch, what did he get, 14 goals last year or something like that. If you're the Erie Otters, I don't blame Dave Brown at all for saying, you got to give me something really good back, especially they've struggled to score goals this year. They need help on the offensive side of things. So it addresses areas for both hockey clubs, maybe heading in different directions in terms of this season. And it's a tough price to pay, but it's the price you had to pay to get this player.
Yeah, just to echo that, the Erie Otters 20th in the league in goals for per game and the league's worst power play. So Michael Dec is a player that can check both those boxes. Just one player, but you'd think he'd be able to help Erie's power play and help them generate many ways offensively. So yeah, I mean, from the attack perspective, I think it's tough. Like, Michael Dec is a very skilled player and he's going to put up a lot of points, but the decision was made that a different type of player was needed. So
I think it bears saying too in these conversations, and I've mentioned it before now in different in the story and your pregame show, but
your pregame show.
It's not like Royston doesn't play without a hockey stick, you know. When you're comparing him to Dec, sure, he's not as skilled, but he scored 27 goals in his draft year, same team as Jake Crawford. He was the 24th overall pick. He was a C-rated prospect. He's not going to put up 100 points like Dec might be prognosticated to by the head coach here, but it's not like he can't put the puck in the net too. So
I don't think any of us are saying that. I think, but I think it's obvious that it would be hard to envision a season where, you know, aside from injuries, that Michael Dec doesn't outproduce in terms of points production.
Right.
Wesley Royston, but there's more to hockey than just points production, and that's, I think, that what went into this trade here.
The start today goes to Carter George, which if some people are raising eyebrows and wondering about that, maybe some people were thinking, aren't they going to go like 1, 2, 3? If they've got 3 games in a week, everybody gets a start. But Matt, I think you got from the coaching staff last week that they're going to try to get Carter 2 out of every 3 starts.
Did they say that? No, that's just my thinking.
That's just your thinking. Okay,
you're not on the coaching staff.
No. Despite,
but it seems that way, right? I'm with you. That's where it looks like it's going, and that's probably where it should go. Really.
Yeah. I think that Carter is their number 1 goaltender, and Trenton Bennett has played the part of a 1B with a capital A, like kind of, or small letter A to beside it, because he's been so well for the attack early this season. But ultimately, like, I think Matthew Kaprowski has been given a few opportunities and just has struggled a bit. So that's going to give the coaching staff more hesitancy to put him back in. And Carter hasn't played since Wednesday, so there's no reason to not have your number 1 goaltender in the net this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think if you're the Erie Otters, and I may be saying this before the game, and this could be completely wrong, but I bet the Erie Otters were really hoping they weren't going to see Carter George today with what they've struggled to do on the offensive side of things. But Carter needs that workload, right? I mean, he's so used to playing a ton of hockey. In fact, I think if you go back through each of the last couple calendar years, he has really no downtime in terms of the traditional hockey schedule, with all the other Hockey Canada obligations, with going to the Ontario Reign at the end of last year, World Junior summer camps, things like that. I mean, he's played a ton, so getting a bit of a breather earlier in the season, a little less of a workload, isn't going to hurt him, but at the same time, he's used to the workload, and that's probably where he thrives.
I think you're starting to see where this 3-headed goalie monster can get a little bit tricky, because a guy struggles and all of a sudden he's going to start losing out on starts that probably were scheduled to be his when you drew it out at the beginning of the season, because you're trying to win hockey games. And I can be a big softy sometimes, and I can think, well, okay, you got to move this guy. You got to get him a chance. Like, he was a OHL top prospect last year. He's on the Central Scouts list. You got to get Krapowski, who's struggling, a chance to play some hockey games. But I mean, this is the best development league in the world. It's not for softies like me making those type of decisions. And I remember talking to Dale Gray when I first started the newspaper, and I forget what we were talking about, but he had made a tough decision, sent somebody home, and I was like, whoa, I think I said something like, whoa, that's harsh. And he looked at me like I had 4 eyes. And he's like, it's like, this is the best development hockey league in the world. It's going to be harsh sometimes, and I think I have to keep myself reminded of that from time to time.
I was going to make a very infantile joke on that, Greg, but I held myself back. So,
thanks. I think
moving along.
Well, and I
Tell
think
me off air.
Nice glasses.
I think the last thing you kind of have to mention is not just Kaprowski's struggles, but also because of how good Bennett's been. Like, if you're arguing, obviously Carter George is the number 1. Who is the number 2 and number 3 if it's Kaprowski or Bennett? I think we were all kind of divided on who you thought would be the second and third goalie. Now it's kind of been uniform. Bennett's been so good for the attack. He's 5-1. His save percentage is like .920 right now. Like, how do you not play him when you need to not play George? Like, it's really hard to keep him out of the net. So as much as you can say Kaprowski hasn't been what we hoped he would be to begin this year, you can say Bennett's been more than we expected. And when he's been that good, how do you not give him the game? So I think Bennett just made it an easier choice to pick between the two than maybe Kaprowski making it a hard choice to pick between the two. So, I mean, when Trenton Bennett's been, the 5-1 goalie who is 6'8" and is just a different type of goalie than the other two, it's really, really hard to go against the New Jersey prospect.
And you talk about, feeling bad for guys. It's a tough spot, though, being a part of this 3-headed monster, so to speak, but being the guy that knows I'm only going to get an opportunity every once in a while, and I have to deliver. And that's a lot of pressure. And that's not typically how it works for goaltenders in terms of if you have your regular starter and your backup, when you're going to get your games. You know that if, hey, it doesn't work this night, I'm going to get another opportunity. But, there's a lot of pressure that goes with this. So, I certainly I sympathize with everybody involved. And if you're Carter George, it's probably also a little tricky, too, because you're trying to help your teammates along at the same time knowing, I'm probably going out there, like you said, 2 out of every 3 games. I got my spot's fine. Sorry, guys, you're going to have to just kind of wait and see how the cookie crumbles.
2 things that were mentioned, decisions and development, bring me to my third question about Ethan Kindree. Got recalled this week from Georgetown. We saw him make his attack re-debut, I guess you could say, on Wednesday during the school day game. Mark and I didn't get to see him last night, but Spencer, you were here. Has he looked better? Are you seeing more to his game in a very short sample size since he's come back from Georgetown? Is he getting to where you think that he needs to be if he wants to become a full-time member of the attack again?
I think that he got a lot more ice time than he would have in his season debut on Wednesday because of the way the game played out against the Sarnia Sting. So the attack were essentially rolling their fourth line almost every other shift of Easton Mikas, Landon Jackman, and Ethan Kindree in the third period of that hockey game. I'm seeing a guy who knows where he is in the lineup and is bringing as much energy as he can to every shift so far. And we'll see where things go from here. But certainly, it looks like he's trying to send a message with his work ethic to the coaching staff that he wants to be here and contribute.
I think also to keep in mind that it was a numbers game, right? I mean, there was a lot of guys coming out of this training camp. We knew it was going to be competitive. I think Ethan Kindree could play on a lot of teams in the OHL. I think he can play on the Owen Sound Attack each and every night. It was just a number situation, and were you going to let a player who sat a lot of last year then sit this year as well? He's got to play games, and I know it probably didn't sit well with him, and it stung a bit that he had to go to Georgetown, but opportunities can present themselves, and I think he's looked just as I expected he would. He's jumped in, playing with some good energy, got a point yesterday. Hard to say where it ends up, but excuse me, guys. I think the one thing now is if Owen Sound's looking to make some deals as we get towards the midway point of the season, does a player like Kindree, is that somebody that's potentially going somewhere else? So teams might notice and say, hey, instead of giving us that extra draft pick, maybe we can get that body. I think it just gives them several options going forward.
If I was Ethan, now I'm choking
up.
Geez,
I like Ethan so much. I'm just getting so choked up here.
I think it was the Kaprowski talk. We're like, gotta play games.
We're all softies here.
I was gonna say if I was Ethan Kindree, I would go into the locker room today and take my nameplate and put it right beside Tristan Delisle's, because if you talk to Delisle, I know we all have, he talks so much about coming into this league and just doing well what he can do well, be a dependable player, not worry about. He said I was worried about making mistakes my first year, but I was worried about doing the little things right, be on the right side of the puck, working on my draws, winning battles on the wall. and just grinding it out until somebody gave you that opportunity. And look, now he's a first-line center. He's got that opportunity, and he's doing a lot with it. So if I was Ethan Kindree, I'd want to pick up a lot of stuff from just that approach to the game and contribute where you can now. Don't think that every shift you have to go out and score a goal because you're thought of as an offensive player. And I think that trajectory kind of works out for a lot of kids that are kind of in his position right now.
And also, just keep in mind, I'm looking at the lineup board here in the media room. He's in the lineup today. It looks like Owen Sound's going to go 11 forwards and 7D, and Ethan Kindree is one of those 11 forwards. So I think that speaks to what they've seen from him. I also think you're calling him up. You want to give him that opportunity to at least let him show what he can do, and so far so good through 2 games this week.
Yeah, you got the apple obviously yesterday on the Jackman goal, and every time I see that fourth line, regardless of who the center is, if it's Micus or if it's Nelson, if it's Jackman and Kindree or whoever, that fourth line always pops out to me. They always have a lot of energy. They're always usually somehow in the offensive end. Like, they always seem to create a turnover somewhere and get to the offensive end. And maybe you can talk about obviously not being the first line, not being the second line with the skill, but they have the forechecking, they have the ability to really press teams, and you love to see that from a fourth line. So if Kindree and the fourth line can continue that, you guys mentioned, it's going to be hard to pull him out of the lineup. And obviously, as a guy who got sent down to Junior B, that's all you want to do is be able to contribute and find a way to keep yourself on the roster.
All right. I was just going to say one thing. Georgetown Raiders is where he
Junior
plays.
A.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, not just that.
Nobody wants to go back to Georgetown. He's got so much motivation to stay here.
As Miltonians. Yeah, Georgetown
You know what?
was our
I'm
rival.
on the same page
Yeah,
as
you're
a Burlington.
Yeah. Georgetown.
Yeah, nice suit, Burlington.
Yeah. They don't even call it Georgetown anymore. Now it's Halton Hills. Acton in Georgetown. Yeah.
One more thing quickly before we go. Greg, I think you kind of got an update from a coach this week about Jacob Therrien, and it sounds like it's weeks.
Not from a coach.
No?
The coaches would not give that up. No, I asked Dale for a little bit more information because I just thought it was important but basically, yeah, it's weeks away because he hasn't been on the ice. He's dealing with concussion-like symptoms. That doesn't mean he has a concussion. That just means that's what he's dealing with, and it's kind of an up-and-down process, and he hasn't felt comfortable enough to kind of start practicing. So when that happens, it's going to be a week or two away from that point. So that's where it is right now.
Okay. All right. Well, I know you got to go do your radio pregame show featuring Matt on CFOS.
Got to have my herbal tea first. Keep this voice going.
Yeah. And the three of us have to go and do game notes. So thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you taking part in this week's Media Room Roundtable.
Thank you.
Thanks, JC.
Thanks, everyone.
Well, and what's quickly becoming one of my favorite segments on the show, Adrian Musso joins us for another edition of Moose on the Loose. And this week, Adrian wanted to talk about 2 of the big trades in the OHL that preceded the Michael Dec and Wesley Royston trade. That trade hadn't happened yet when Adrian and I recorded this conversation. So here's Adrian Musso and Moose on the Loose. Adrian, how are you today, sir?
Things are good in the Rose City. Windsor is doing just fine right now. I see there's snow squalls in the forecast up in Owen Sound, but here it's sunny and about 15 degrees. So
Are there really? I missed that note. Oh, great. Of course. Well, I just got my winter tires on yesterday, so it's my fault, if anyone is wondering. You can blame me for that. Adrian, we've got a couple of great topics this week, some recent OHL trades that we're going to get to in a moment. But first, the CHL top prospects have announced the rosters. It's the CHL versus USA format. They're going with that again this year. I think it was pretty successful. And this year, both games will be in Alberta. Calgary hosting the first game on November 25th. That's a Tuesday. And then Wednesday, November 26th, it goes to Lethbridge, where the Lethbridge Hurricanes will be the host. There's no Owen Sound Attack on this roster, but I know that's not why you're fired up about it. Adrian, what about the top prospects that's irking you this week?
Well, we'll get into the players maybe on a different episode of Moose on the Loose, segment of Moose on the Loose, and players to watch out for, kind of like I did with the U17s last segment. But something's really irking me, and you're right. I'm a little fired up. I'm a little cheesed about it. It's last year's tournament or last year's competition. It was a huge success, and all 20 skaters on the CHL roster were Canadian. And then I look at this year's roster, and 13 of 20 are Canadian, leaving 7 spots for players born outside of Canada. And that is really what's cheesed me as of late. And I understand the new landscape of the whole CHL and the fact that they're going to have to steal players or trying to steal players away from going to the NCAA. But when you have 5 Americans on the team that are going to be going up against the U.S. NDTP team, that kind of steers me the wrong way. And then you have a Czech player and a Russian player as well on the list. And don't get me wrong, they're all highly touted and very good hockey players, but you're the CHL. You're the Canadian Hockey League. You should be the main producer of Canadian hockey talent. So why aren't you, as a CHL whole, fielding in an entire Canadian team? Now, some might argue that, oh, well, Adrian, the new landscape in the CHL, we're going to have to really steal players from the CHL import draft and really send those people to the main stage. And this is going to be a main stage for top prospects. Oh, we're recruiting more Americans, so we want them to come. This is still this Canadian Hockey League. This is still for Canadian kids. Almost half the roster is import players. 13 Canadians. That is fine and great. But there's no reason in my mind that Pierce Bowie should not be on this roster. 18 points in 16 games. And then you have, I'm going to call him out, Adam Novotny of the Peterborough Petes, who is under a point per game right now. I get he's a 6'1", 204-pound power forward. I get that he was the 8th overall selection in the CHL import draft. I get all this. He's a draft-eligible prospect. And it's not the fact that he's European. I'm just saying that this is the CHL top prospects, and it should be a showcase of Canadian talent. I get where we're going in this landscape. I understand all this, and I guess maybe it's my fault and I need to change my head, JC, but it really stirs me the wrong way when the Canadian kids might be taking a backseat, and in the long run, this might be worse for Canada hockey as a whole, because you can still use these little segments of top prospects game to evaluate for World Juniors or U18s in the future and to see who works with who. But now you're inserting Europeans, Americans onto this team. It's going to hinder Canadian talent. And I think Canadian talent might actually go the other way. Yes, you will be bringing in those Americans. Okay, come play as a 16, 17-year-old. But those Canadians who might stay for an 18 and 19-year-old season, well, hey, Pierce just got CHL said bye-bye to Pierce. Pierce might say bye-bye to the CHL and honor his commitment to Penn State next season if he is really rubbed the wrong way by this.
Yeah, it is a little bit misleading when you hear Team CHL versus Team USA, because it's not like these are dual citizen players that are American-born and Czechia-born. They will not be able to wear the Team Canada logo someday, especially in the case of you've got Nikita Klepov and Brooks Rogowski, who both played for Team USA already at the Ivan Holenka Cup. So they're not going to wear the Maple Leafs someday. So, yeah, maybe give those roster spots to some more Canadians and make it a true Canada versus U.S. format, which probably draws more than this format. And it does get those players on the bubble, like maybe a Pierce Bowie into the game. So I think you got a point.
You talk about those two guys, and those two guys are the exact guys that I was really thinking of as well. I mentioned Adam Novotny as well. But when you look at Brooks Rogowski and you look at Nikita Klepov, and they're going into battle, yes, they know that 32 teams have 5 or 6 scouts at this game. This might be one of the 2 biggest games for them in their prospect journey this season. But you're telling me they go into corner against an American counterpart that they were just sitting in the locker room with in the summer, that they're going to go all the way and dig for that puck as much as a Canadian-born player to show his talent against somebody that he truly dislikes, I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time that you're not showcasing your best Canadian talent. And it's disheartening. It's disheartening, honestly.
Well, maybe still some tinkering needed for that event that the CHL changed last year, and it's still not perfect. We're recording this on Thursday, October 30th, so more trades may have happened between now and the time that you're hearing or watching this. But there was a massive trade today in the OHL. I think we had kind of wondered if those giant trades were a thing of the past based on the whole NCAA involvement and the changing landscape of the game. Not the case today, as Oshawa trades, let's see, they've got Ben Danford and Zachary Sandu going to Brantford for, get ready for this, Aiden O'Donnell, Lucas Moore, Luca DePlacido, and 9, count them up, 9 picks on top of those 3 players. So it's 12 going one way, 2 going the other way. Just a huge deal. And look at Brantford trying to tell everyone that we are going to be the top dog when this thing is done. What were your thoughts on that big trade, Adrian?
First thought came to my mind was, if it wasn't clear that Brantford was all in already, they're showing early on that they're all in. They didn't wait till the trade deadline. They want to get this ball rolling. They want to get first in the OHL. They want to get home ice advantage throughout. And you know what? A little, just popped into my head, a little aside on all this, is that Brantford is the most Western team in the Eastern Conference because of where their geographical location came after. It was Hamilton, but they came from Belleville before that. So they're still in the Eastern Conference, but they're more West than some of the Western Conference teams. So they have a long bus ride if they're playing Owen Sound, if they're playing Ottawa, excuse me. So if they can get that first spot and always have home ice, that's a lot less travel for them, which will be good in the long run. So the Hymans and go all in and get Ben Danford and Zachary Sandu. And I like to go back to our first segment of Moose on the Loose here, JC, and you made a very valid comment. And it was when we're talking about potential trades this season, we really were looking out to see the first big one to fall and how that landscape would look. And I do think the trade landscape changed just a tad. The picks are all still there, but you added 2 really good defensemen, and look at the picks that they got. 3 seconds, 3 thirds, 2 fourths, and only 1/10. Usually in the past, you would see, that was high quality of second and thirds, but then you would get a 5th, a 6th, an 8th, and a 14th scrambled in there. Now you got that heart of the package is all 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round picks, and then a couple players on top of that. So I think this might be the new change where you get a lot of 2nd and 3rds, and then that 16-year-old or 17-year-old first rounder, as Aiden O'Donnell was last year. That's always been the case. You try and get that guy in the deal as well. But it's a really big move, and people are going to be like, and a lot of fans of the OHL know who Ben Danford is, and being that he was a Toronto Maple Leafs first round pick, that helps as well. But you look at his stats this season, on 8 games played, just 1 goal, 3 assists, and a -10. You're like, whoa, that's not the first round defensive quality player that he should be. Well, he's playing on one of the worst teams in the league right now in the Oshawa Generals that went all in for 2 straight seasons. And he's a defensive defenseman that throws big, thunderous hits and likes to fight. So he's not the goal scorer to begin with. He's brought into that defense to really solidify the defensive core of the team, penalty kill, and be a leader in the room. As the captain of the Generals, he'll just step right inside that room and kind of take Lucas Moore's spot as a leader on the back end that Lucas is or was for the Bulldogs.
All right. Well, the first massive trade of the season is complete, and we're not even into November yet. But that wasn't the one that kind of got the ball rolling this week. The one that got the ball rolling was a big deal involving the Niagara Ice Dogs and the London Knights. And stop me if you've heard this one before, because these two teams, I think it's now 11 times they have had trades since 2022. And this one raised a lot of eyebrows around the OHL with media and with fans. And that was Noah Reid going from the London Knights to Niagara for Brady Wazelin, who is just a top-notch talent. A lot of people are watching Brady this year and thought that he was going to be a big part of that Niagara Ice Dogs team moving forward. Now they get a Memorial Cup winner to add some veteran leadership over in Niagara. But they're sending out a heck of a talent, and I said it yesterday when we did game notes on our school day broadcast that how many times have you heard with London, the rich get richer? They do again. What were your thoughts on this one, Adrian?
I'll admit my original thoughts weren't that London stole Brady Wazelin. Honestly, he's already committed to Boston University for next season. So the London Knights are getting him for one season only. And when I know the top end dog that he's supposed to be, but if he was going to be that player this season, he would have more than just 5 points in 6 games. He would be really driving the motor with Ryan Rubrick on that Niagara Ice Dogs team. Now, he had a good, okay U17s last season. He wasn't selected to the U18 team this past summer. So there might be question marks into the character that he is. And maybe that, and I have no idea. I'm just speculating, I have no knowledge of anything. But maybe they wanted to get him out of the room. Maybe they could see themselves going on a run as well and being like, no, Brady's not the guy. We need a guy that's an NHL draft pick that has loads of talent, that skyrocketed in the draft prospect in the draft season last year. And maybe Noah Reid is the new Easton Cowan. So if Noah Reid comes in and is a leader in the room, fits well with the guys, he'll produce, I would imagine, at very close to the same rate as Brady Wazelin is going to. And now Brady's gone next season unless the Hunters do what the Hunters do best and they keep him for more than one season. But going to BU sounds pretty cool to me, JC, at 18 years old. I don't know about you. And then Noah Reid, he's an NHL draft pick. He signs a deal. He's in the OHL for life. So I see actually a benefit for the Niagara Ice Dogs in that package. Now, could they have gotten a few picks because the younger guy's going the other way? Yeah, maybe. But if you're going straight up for straight up, this is basically just this season. And you want that leadership of a guy that won the Memorial Cup last season in your dressing room. And they were able to do that. Yeah, they had to part ways with a good young talent. But maybe it wasn't the right guy at the right time. So everybody else is up in arms about London getting richer. I see it as a fair deal myself, and people can come at me for my opinion, and that's fine. But I really do see it as a pretty fair deal.
I do have to say you are way less conspiratorial about this move than a lot of people have been, because if you look at the online comments about this, they range from, here we go again, Niagara is just London's farm team within their own league. And also, somebody check the Hunters' bank account after that deal, because there's got to be money changing hands behind the scenes too. So there's lots of conspiracy theories out there. I have no idea what is true. Sometimes you just form a good relationship with another team, and when you need a favor or something, or you need to deal a guy, whether it be because they want out or something, sometimes that's a good friend to have. And a lot of people I know don't give the London Knights that kind of space, that they might be okay and nice people to deal with. They're just always convinced that they're only in it to win it. And maybe that's true to an extent. I mean, that's what the mentality of championship teams are. But If you want conspiracy theories about a trade, there's been all sorts about this one, but you're not buying into that.
No, it could be true. It could be true that the Knights are handing over money behind the scenes and paying for the debts of the owner of Niagara. It could be true, but when I looked at this trade, I wasn't blown off about that it was such a bad deal. I don't know, and maybe that's me just trying to look and not be a conspiracy theorist person. And I know that everybody in the OHL, unless you live in London in the Forest City, you hate the Knights. I get that too. So you have 19 teams going after one. And I get that history shows that the London Knights have fleeced the Niagara Ice Dogs in the past. But when you look at the picture as a whole, and I guess like Noah Reid isn't having the best season this season either, with 10 games played and 1 goal and 1 assist. But a guy that was drafted by the Ducks in the 3rd round, maybe he needed to change the scenery too. Maybe he needed to go higher up in the lineup. I like to see this trade and compare it. Maybe I'm way wrong on it by December. And hey, I've been wrong about a lot of things in my life. So it won't surprise me if I'm wrong on this one. But I didn't think it was that bad of a trade. And I'm not buying into the conspiracy theories that people may be proposing.
All right, Adrian. Well, we're going to leave it at that. Obviously, 2 big topics that have been making some headlines around junior hockey this week. We got them covered off. I understand you're moving this weekend officially, so you are technically going to be up in the Owen Sound area. Unfortunately, we won't see you on the broadcast on Saturday while you're doing the big move, but best of luck to you on that. I know it's never fun when the entire day schedule is pick things up, put them down again.
Yeah, you know what, though? But the beer's still cold at the end of the day.
That's true. Adrian Musso and Moose on the Loose, everyone. Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Bear Tracker Weekly Podcast comes to an end. A busy episode this week. A big thank you again to the guests who made it on the show. Tristan Delisle, Wesley Royston, Assistant Coach Reagan O'Grady, the Media Room Roundtable with Greg and Mark and Matt and Spencer, myself also on that, and Adrian Musso for Moose on the Loose. Thank you, everyone, for making the time this week. It's always appreciated, and it's always appreciated that you take the time to listen to or watch this podcast, whether it's on any of the podcasting services, whether it's on Rogers TV or on YouTube. We very much appreciate all the support, all the kind words. Make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. Send us any feedback that you might have. And we're all over social media. You can follow at Bear Tracker Pod. Very much appreciate you continuing to support this podcast. And I guess I should say, too, as the podcast draws to a close this week, if you're watching the video version, you probably notice I'm wearing a Blue Jays t-shirt. Yes, that was a heartbreaker on Saturday night, but how exciting was it to see the entire country come together to cheer on a team? It really was something special to watch a team go from last, I should say, to within 2 outs of winning a championship. And, you know, some of the makeup of that Blue Jays team, the fact that the team loves each other so much and they work so well together as a team, as one unit, there's kind of a little bit of that in the Owen Sound Attack. So maybe similar trajectories for both those teams, even though they're different sports. Really kind of a great sports story or this year's version of the Toronto Blue Jays. And wow, how lucky were we to get baseball into November? That was crazy, but I'm sure the Owen Sound Attack are happy that they are now once again the biggest team and game in town. And there were definitely a lot more fans at the game Sunday afternoon now that the baseball season is over. So thanks to everybody for showing up. Attack this week have 3 games spread out kind of nicely. They get a little bit of a break in between. On Wednesday, they'll head down to Sarnia to take on the Sting. It'll be their version of the school day game. That's happening on Wednesday morning. Then it is out to The Attack are headed back home, I should say, on Saturday night to take on the London Knights. That'll be a big game. Haven't seen London since the Attack beat them in overtime in Game 1 of the season. And then the Attack will head for a Sunday night game against the Oshawa Generals. So another busy week coming for the Owen Sound Attack. We hope that you enjoy the week, and once again, we will see you at the rink Saturday night for the next Attack home game. Have a great week.
The Bear Tracker podcast is produced in association with Blackburn Media from the CKNX studios in Wingham, Ontario. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe at Bear Tracker Pod on social media and wherever you get your podcasts.